Flogcast may occasionally contain explicit content that makes it not safe for work or for minors. It also doesn't provide an excuse to use the same words on Bay 13. Normal Big Footy rules still apply.
Alright, so this is the Flogcast for round 12. Fifey joined by Ant,
How's it going?
Dan,
Hello, Fifey.
Penal,
Hi there.
Teach,
Yeah, I'm fucking here. Get on with it.
Lol 110.
and joining us for his first episode we have Hadouken.
Hello.
Oh, the Dark Empire. The evil Lord of
The
the
Herd
Sea.
Empire is.
What the hell was that?
What was that
Oh,
noise?
that was supposed to be a Wookiee. Sorry.
Oh, we've got
Sounded
an
like
evil-
Yoda having an aneurysm, not a Wookiee.
That's not a Wookiee. This is a Wookiee. That's as
Sounds like
close
the
as
Geelong
it's gonna
Cheer
get.
Squad. Wait. Oh, okay. Never mind.
So we've got one of the evil empire on board.
Happy little Herdites.
Ooh.
How are we, boys?
The
We're
Dark
pretty
Lord.
good for foamers. How about you, man?
So far.
Yeah, but before we start on any games, just one thing that came to light this week. Teachers copped it pretty rough from Hawthorn supporters, Colas, everyone, because of the way Geelong played. But, Sue's had some interesting comments to say about him, which maybe outed him a little bit.
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah, according to Sue's, it was asked why you're called the Teach, and it was because you are a teacher and you act like one too.
Oh,
So-
that's all bullshit. You know that.
Well, her dad is a teacher, so she might know what she's talking about here.
She knows a lot about the area.
Yeah,
Do we need to
You-
get
you're
you
suggesting-
two on the Maury Cobbett show?
paternity test.
You
So-
are the father.
Teach, is this
Oh,
appropriate
I deny everything. This is not true.
then? Are
No.
you sure this isn't one of these moments? I am your father.
Suze, I am your...
No, cunt shit! That's impossible!
This is beyond funny. You need to stop this because
It explains
This
her
is-
temper, though.
no, it's not true. Not true.
Well, we won't stop laying the boots in now because we will go straight to G-Long, or as they've become known,
G110.
Yeah, G110. It's a much better visual gag than audio one, but yeah, it wasn't that amusing.
I
This
have
has-
Alright,
witnessed a
Have you had your,
domination like that.
have you had your
in my
fucking
life.
giggles now?
Um,
I mean,
Oh, we're
No,
not
no,
finished yet, Stu.
I mean, it was like it was a macabre destruction, and it was diabolical. And I was around at my friend's place, and we thought, okay, we're a chance here. Let's sit down and we'll watch the Cats give the Swans at least a run. And then we just sat there and we watched this diabolical destruction of Geelong. It was just one of those games, and I've been there a number of times in the past. It threw me back to 2001 because in 2000 we actually played finals and we just lost to Hawthorn in an elimination final. Fucking surprise! And then in 2001, yeah, shut up. cunt. And then in 2001 we'd won our first 3 games, I think, and then we rocked up to Cardinia Park and we thought, oh yeah, we've got Port Adelaide coming down. We're going to smash them, and they just ripped us apart. We just stood there in the stands going, we are nothing. We are not going to do anything this year. And that was the exact feeling that we had on Thursday night, just watching us get absolutely picked apart by Sydney. Everything went wrong for us. Everything went right for Sydney. And
I wouldn't say
so,
everything, because the first couple of quarters there, they couldn't kick a goal. They were kicking out of bounds, points. It was like they were just teasing Geelong, thinking, oh, we're still in it.
oh yeah,
commentators-
how sad for Sydney. How sad that they couldn't kick
And
a
that-
goal. They only lost. They only won by 110 points.
But that was all came on in the second half, yeah.
No, they absolutely destroyed us. Normally, I would have switched over and gone, I'm not watching this. But it was sort of like a macabre self-torture that like, I'm going to watch this and I'm just going to go through how much of a crap side we've become. So we've
But really, in the first
we've
quarter,
we've fallen so far, and we're no threat. We've been beaten by the top three sides easily by a lot of points. So we're done. We're cool.
But in that first quarter there, Teach, you had a lot of ball coming in and you just give it away with poor delivery into your forward line. You kick it away
tell
from
me
Hawkins
about it.
every fucking time.
It's worse when the ball hits a deck and Hawkins doesn't move afterwards. It's like he stands
But
there.
they
with
were
his
kicking
statue.
the other direction from him. It was just
Tell me
dumb
about
football.
it. I mean, I saw the camera and they go, wow, if they could have kicked it any more accurately to a Sydney's backliner, they couldn't have. They really couldn't have. They were just, the transition into the forward line was absolutely disgraceful. And, well, that's it. That's just a rubbish
So you can
performance.
pretty much just throw Geelong away for the rest of the year, Teach. That's pretty much it.
Well, I said the 12th, I'm probably going to be right.
I got a
No,
funny
I still
feeling-
think they're going to make the finals.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I got a funny feeling the Drew Petrie predictor thread has taken a bad hold of Geelong and they're doomed.
They've dropped their heads after last week.
It's broken their will.
Yep.
I reckon that's it. Drew Petrie's got in their heads and they've choked it up and nothing's going to be the same again.
At least they haven't lost to GWS though, so they do have that on their chin to hold over the collars.
You're very lucky to be saying that yourself, Penal.
Like I said, that reminds me of that horrible thread that they started. Ha, we beat GWS. Jesus Christ, Hawthorn.
Yeah,
You fell
we-
over the line.
We'll get to that.
Do we have anything else to say on Geelong Sydney? It was surprising to see them get smacked.
I will say, sucked in. We've been waiting 7 years for this.
Get fucked.
Other than the fact that camera work was atrocious at the ground, I think the camera guys must be used to following the rugby because they couldn't follow the ball. And BT.
Well,
what
do you
more can
think
say?
maybe the cameramen were actually Geelong backliners?
Yeah, they couldn't tell where Geelong were kicking it. It's the thing, they were following where the ball should have gone. The Geelong players wouldn't kick it there.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed this game a lot more if it were any other team except Sydney handing out the belting to Geelong.
I was going to say, as a Hawthorn supporter there, you must have been had this half stiffy, we didn't know what to do with it.
I
Well,
have
I
the
was-
strangest boner right now.
I was sitting there watching it, thinking to myself, like, I'm at my friend's place, so I can't get on Big Footy, but I know that every single other football supporter outside of Geelong supporters are just wanking off as hard as they can, and they're just like, oh, I got to get on and just tell them how shit they are. And
I would want to be in Bosk's bedroom after that game.
That game was actually a prime candidate for goo and tears because you've got this goo everywhere from Geelong losing, but you're crying because Sydney's winning.
And it's Buddy putting them to the sword.
What an amazing thing about that game was Goods played as a small forward. He kicked a couple of goals roving
Yeah.
off the back of Tippett and Franklin. That's a bit of a luxury. You can tell they put the Kohler to good use.
Yeah, and we'll come back to the Kohler. But yeah, the Drew Petrie predictor was mentioned before, and we'll move on from a team that's going to miss the finals because of it to a team that's going to make it, and they just made their run this week. The Bryans beating Carlton.
Oh, hard fought and well earned victory for the Bryans. The umpiring was very fair for both teams. Actually, it was probably the best umpiring I've seen all season.
what about the jumpers? I mean, was there two shitter jumpers put against each other? Carlton was so friggin' lazy, they go, oh, what is it? Indigenous round. Oh, throw a fucking boomerang on it. That'll do.
I actually liked that one because they didn't cover it in crap like all the other ones. Like, at least there was fuck all done to it.
No, but that's
Brisbane.
lazy and offensive, the Carlton one.
The Carlton jumper's offensive on its own, so...
It was designed by Chris Yaron.
Was it?
Well, it's
Like-
lazy, so probably.
Well, if it's designed by Chris Yaron, where's the baseball bat?
I was going to say, it should be a baseball bat. You took my line.
The Brisbane one was like you loaded 50 shotguns with paint
Paintballs.
and just went.
It's like Homer Simpson's makeup gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just went bang, just flew all over the jumper. It was ridiculous.
You've got it set to paddle pop.
What's that rainbow paddle pop one that they have? That's what they went for. It was a beautiful game to watch.
How great was it to see Jared Wade fuck it up?
Oh, it was brilliant.
A little bit of pee came out, I won't lie, when he did that. It's like, oh.
You just see him get bowled over and you're like, was that Wade? Oh, fuck, it was too.
Some of the melts on the Carlton board were good.
Oh,
There was a few
Looking
Bad
Frank
news.
Roy's coming in.
The bad news was Les didn't get a root because his wife's team got beaten.
And that affects you how?
Oh well, I like Les, and I just want him to be happy.
When he gets off, I get off. That's fucking random there, Teach.
Did you see Malthouse when he was doing his speech and he's like just reading off that little piece of paper in front of him? It's like he didn't watch the game. He just someone took notes for him and handed it to there you
He
go.
was,
That's because
he was
that's
pretty-
because he wasn't talking about the game. He was saying, "Okay, barbecue will be at 10 a.m. Bring your own drinks."
On the menu this week.
But seriously, I watched it and I thought, man, that is a coach who does not give a shit. And I watch Bomber Thompson every week, so
I was
trust me,
going to say you.
I can tell when someone doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, so I think a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the Bomber Thompson scale of how interested coaches were. I think this one exceeding it because that presser was really short.
It's 2 minutes.
He read off a piece
he-
of paper and walked out. It was crazy.
It's,
Maybe it's mixed lazy attitude that's rubbing off on the players.
Maybe.
he cracks the shits big time, doesn't he, when things don't go well?
Oh, he's a massive sook.
But yeah, it was funny to watch that game end because it didn't look like Brisbane were going to win in the.
They
towards
shouldn't
the
have
end of
won.
that. No, that really shouldn't have. And that Yaron drop mark was a poor decision, but fuck,
And,
it was
and the
funny.
50 for punching Hanley in the head. It's-
Credit to Hanley, his timing on how he sold that, everything was so good. You would have first reaction, I thought, oh, Yaron's actually hit him.
Oh, that dive was Selwood-like.
Yeah, we'll move on from a team with a lazy coach that rubs off on his players to a team with a soft coach that rubs off on his players, and that's Richmond Essendon.
Oh.
For fuck's sake, Fifey. I mean, I thought that they had got their shit together after
Yeah,
GWS.
I told you we hadn't.
Today's word of the week is mediocre. Isn't that what he described it as? Mediocre football team. And seriously, I mean, I watched that game, funnily enough, and Jesus Christ, Fifey, Richmond were shit. Like, we were okay, but wow. that when Rance kicked that thing across goal, like, again, I was just like, holy crap, they are so off, they can see Poland. It's just crazy.
The margin at the end was flattering. You guys should have lost by 100 points. Did you drive home proud that night?
No, I cried all the way home.
Did they play North next week?
Yeah, we play North and KB's on commentary. Press red.
Well, I was gonna say-
Oh, yeah.
They
so
wanna-
people can tune into that.
They'd want to watch out because Rewalt kicked 3 at the end there, and I reckon he's going to follow through with another 13. Like, he's going now. Those last 3, he's winding up, and watch out, North Melbourne.
Well, didn't they do the whole put him up the ground and not put him instead of playing him in the square at the start of the game as well?
Yeah, they pushed him up the ground because we couldn't get it past the centre.
His opening possession was a handball at the 28-minute mark of the second quarter, which went to an Essendon player who kicked a goal.
And this happened last year as well. The last 2 Dreamtime games have probably been 2 of the worst games we played each season. I don't know what it is, but it's like they go to water under the big occasion, which season opener, finals, it seems to be a trend. But we're shit anyway. But we seem to be shitter when we get a good game, good time slot, good occasion.
Yeah, well, thanks for fucking up my tip. Jesus.
I told you we hadn't turned the corner. Don't you blame me, Cal.
Yeah, who would tip Richmond?
Not me. I went with Essendon, well enough. And I think we have turned a corner after that game, to be honest. I thought things finally starting to click again. Bomber Thompson looked like he
But it's
gave a
Richmond.
crap. Well, yeah, I
They-
know.
they-
But you've got to
No,
start
they
somewhere.
did. The Bombers did look good, that's for sure.
Carlisle actually playing down back. That was refreshing. And being good down there.
Yeah, and I noticed Bomber after the game when asked if that was like the right move, he sort of dismissed the question, and I was like, "I'm the coach, I'm always right."
Is Hardwick the man, Fifey?
We'll see. Increasingly, it looks like he's not.
Just as well he's signed on for another 2 years.
But yeah, no. The worst part is I actually watched the VFL, and they had a good win of 6 goals. I don't know how good Essendon's VFL is, but honestly, I was trying to find players who would warrant a game. Miles, who probably should have played a few weeks ago.
Yeah, people have been talking about Miles.
And the only other one was fucking Aaron Edwards that really... And Oren. Like, those were the best 3 I thought at the VFL level. And that's
Big
considered-
Orenson.
Is it Petted? Is he any good?
He had a good second half, yeah. He
Yeah.
played all right. But they're all recycled types that
So, but-
been
but-
there, seen
Oh,
By
there.
the sound of
'cause
it-
that's the last thing you need, isn't it, at Richmond?
Pretty
Another
much.
recycled type.
And those will be the ins and the outs. It'll be recycled out, recycled in.
But yeah, so the sounds of it, Essendon's VFL team isn't that great.
Well, apparently not.
That's a shame because their VFL team will be their AFL team soon.
On the bright side, though, Fifey, Cochin's hair was luxurious the entire match. It was a joy to watch.
It never moves.
It
It's
doesn't.
weird.
It's freaky. He gets tackled and it just stays there.
It's like Lego hair.
Like Gary Ablett's hair doesn't move either.
I mean, like Ray Martin's or full frontal.
Well, this is a bit of a disturbing trend because last week you asked about what goo and tears would taste like, and now you're worried about what Gary Ablett's hair would move. And Gary Ablett has no hair on his head, but he probably has hair somewhere else, and you're worried
Shaves his
about
hair in
that.
his head.
I think you're projecting there, Tish.
Yeah.
I think Penal's part of the 48%.
That's a good segue because we will move on to Hawthorn dodging a bullet against the Giants. They needed a bit of help from some bad kicking from the Giants and some umpiring assistance too. Not to mention...
Umpiring had no impact on the match.
Oh, it did. You were allowed to kick in danger all day, and Callum Ward got done for it twice.
Serves him right.
It was one of those games where you could like on the bay, it was almost completely silent. Like no one was really typing because you could just almost hear everyone going, "Come on," you know, get up there. Yeah, would have
Hawthorn needed bloody Litherland or whatever to put in a few efforts to get him over the line. He did some good things.
How good was he?
Played all right, but it was just, you know, what's going on? Where was Captain Hodge? Didn't see much of him when the going got tough. Was he off on the bench getting his head taped?
He was on the back flank, bent
He had a
over,
good game.
having a big puff.
I was driving around when I was listening to it, and I thought to myself, there's no way that Hawthorn are going to lose this. They just did enough to win. I mean, they've been undermanned. They lost their coach during the week. And GWS, they must have got a rocket after how shit they were last week after Richmond. Hawthorn, they were just a bit flat, and the weather would have suited GWS to sort of...
It definitely did.
Yeah, well, Hawthorn deserved to win, and that's it.
You mentioned Clarko not being the coach. Well, if they had lost that, Bolton might have been the shortest coach ever because he got overlooked the first time round Ratton, which is amusing no end. But can you imagine if Bolton lost that game? Would there not be a sack Bolton thread on the Hawthorn board? Get Ratton in. He won games at Carlton somehow.
And you had actually a bit of a double entendre there, Fifey, because that Bolton guy's pretty short.
If they got Ratton back in the chair, at least he would have been barracking for the team in the box. I had a look at Bolton. He had a bit of the winging ears going on there, a little bit like James Hird with the big ears. So we've got to be careful what we say because he could probably hear us from wherever he is.
I've got a bit of a theory about what was happening in the game yesterday. I think we saw the result on Thursday night, Sydney smashing Geelong, and then we tanked yesterday, just fell over the line in order to lull the competition into a false sense of security.
Oh, yeah.
This is your theory.
You sound like Shep.
We wanted the media to talk about how great Sydney was and how mediocre we were, kind of like grand final week last year, because Freo got pumped up while we got talked down. So it's sort of what's going on now.
Premierships don't get one in June,
I
Penny.
was going to say, so you're the June premiers.
Moral June premiers. Is there any award you'd less like to have?
Oh, it's better than being anchored in the bottom four, fucking Richmond Bulldogs.
So, Penal, have you got anyone, male or female, in front of you that's about to catch your load in their face as you went?
Always.
Always fucking
With
Teach. Just
Well, you wanted to know what good is.
Oh, you're a broken record, Teach.
How many times has Teach brought that up now? 110 or so?
Judging by that comment, we are finished on Hawthorn GWS. So we'll move on. And, well, North on Sunday night, won in the wet against the Boo crowd. You know, that's a couple of big monkeys off their backs. So
What happened to the West Coast Brad Scott Avatar week? It was a total letdown with that game, wasn't it?
It was. Although there was a free kick given. I can't remember what it was in the first quarter, and Brad threw the arms out. Like, it was hilarious because it was a shocking free kick, but it's just he reacts like he does. But, geez, Boomer tore him a new one after quarter time.
I didn't watch that game purely because I cannot imagine a less interesting game with West Coast and North Melbourne in the freaking wet. Like I turned it over and went, "It's raining. Bye."
Pretty much all
Fremantle
Sunday
and
games
Sydney in the wet?
weren't great
Well,
feelings.
that's a competitor. That would be bad.
It was a good game. I mean, North Melbourne were fantastic.
Back
it
on the
was,
bandwagon, are you, mate?
Oh, yeah, well, I told you I was driving the bandwagon. And
You drove it off the cliff last time I was on.
He's well and truly on the bandwagon now because Geelong's fallen off the cliff themselves. So he's making sure he's gripping on tight to the North one.
This one stays intact.
I made sure that no one died on the bandwagon. Got a few head injuries. Royals flicked his head on the fender on the way through, so he's got a bit of brain damage, but he'll be all right. And you know, it's dropped it down in the third again, and we've slammed it down, and we're going to go full steam ahead.
Until North play Geelong again.
West Coast midfield is so fucking bad. Holy shit. Like, they have the worst in AFL.
Are you a bit concerned about them, Penal?
Not as concerned as I am about Geelong and their youth, but
Oh, here we fucking go.
I think West Coast midfield is more just a point and laugh matter.
Apart from Pritis, they don't really have a genuine good inside
A
mid.
couple of years ago, Scott Selwood was playing some pretty good footy, and now they're just using him as a tagger.
That's the thing, when Nat Nui and Dean Cox are playing well, they get brilliant service from the hitouts. When that's not there, they don't have the midfielders to actually win clearances without Nat Nui giving them fucking silver service, basically. It's just, that's how they win games, and when that doesn't happen, they're shit.
The midfield was really good a couple of years ago, but they brought in all those restrictions on supplements, so they've fallen right away since then. It's quite strange, to be honest.
What was that? Restrictions on supplements? Who
Yeah,
said
yeah, that was Hadouken. I'm already well in it, man. I can throw as many stones as I want.
There's not a window left in his house.
But yeah, they were pretty shit. Their forward line's ordinary. Like, considering they got Kennedy and Darling, they're not doing a whole lot. Darling was about as effective as Majak Dor.
Scary.
Majak's played 11 games of football, as we keep hearing.
Jack
Really?
Darling's
He's
supposed
played
to be
11.
having people line up to eat his shit. Is that the thread?
Right now he's eating key defender shit.
Yeah.
Burritos.
He must just eat cinnamon buns to make his shit taste nice. Why else would people line up to eat it?
Teacher's been, I don't know what teacher's been up to this
I've just
week.
got to throw
He got
this
dropped
line.
on the head up when the bandwagon fell over.
I've just got to throw this line, Fifey. You mentioned Fritos, so he's eating Frito burritos. Is that what you're saying?
Just on West Coast and their ruck situation, it looks like fucking Natanui is starting to improve and put some better performances together, but Dean Cox has just been a liability all throughout the year. He's just been completely immobile, more so than someone like Hawkins, and he doesn't even have the excuses that Hawkins does.
Here comes fucking Hawkins again.
When Hawkins sees a pie vendor in the crowd, he gets more interested in that, and so he gets distracted and doesn't move. What's Cox's excuse?
He's old and bad.
We'll move on from that game to Adelaide versus the Suns. The Suns, well, that top four stint lasted all of a week when Tex Walker said, yeah, get the fuck out. And the Crows all of a sudden look a lot better with Tex back and playing all right.
They've always been one of those teams where you look at them and you just think they should actually be better than they are because they've got some actually good players. And I hate Adelaide, so saying that's horrible, but they really like Dangerfield, Sloan, they're good. So I don't know what Sanderson's doing to them other than failing them, but they just don't seem to be able to get it together other than occasionally like now when they were good against.
I agree.
They're
I
hard
agree.
to tip,
I mean,
aren't
they do look very, very good. And the players that you named were probably the best players on the day. Dangerfield, Sloan, Tex Walker. They can really, really turn it on when they want to, but they can't do it consistently.
There was a massive improvement this week on this shit. They dished up against Carlton. They moved it a lot better through that game. And the Suns still played well, but Adelaide were better, which was quite a statement.
I watched it purely to learn how to pronounce Kolajashny, and now I know how to. It's really good.
Can you spell it?
No.
You should just ask Anus Cat on spelling tips because I'm sure he's got posters of Colo everywhere.
Anything else on Adelaide Gold Coast?
It's interesting to see their recycled forwards do well as pods seem to dominate. Saw a pretty decent goal by Mr. Big Pants, Eddie Betts.
Yeah. He's been a good pickup for them. Eddie's playing good football.
Yeah,
How
so I
screwed
pretty much agree with what the others have said, that they've got a lot of talent on that side, but they just can't seem to switch on week on, week out. So I really don't know what's going on with them.
Geelong looks to be really missing pods.
And keeps Garlett. It's just weird.
So
Anyway,
He
where-
wanted so much money, though. Like, admittedly, Carlton overpay everyone, but so you'd think Eddie probably felt entitled to ask for that much. But still, he was asking for 500k. I'm surprised Adelaide paid it, but so far it's worked out all right.
How do you reckon Carlton are feeling right now, the way that Eddie Betts is playing at Adelaide?
Probably even worse considering the way Daisy's playing.
I'd
Oh,
ask one, but none of them post on the bay anymore.
On that note, I think we'll move on to Friday night Collingwood St Kilda. Well, I think Collingwood are pretty safe to win this game, but Bucks just made sure of it beforehand by going, you know what, you don't have to play Swanee, I'll bring Seedsman in just to make sure of this. And he didn't disappoint.
And Pablo played. Nice.
Do you reckon they also they looked at it and went, well, he could tag Seedsman. Quick, steal, take him out.
You're
Just
going to
got
line
the
him
elbow.
up Yates on Burden style. Yeah, there wasn't much out of that. Travis Cloak, well, did a bit of a Jack Revolt and beat up on a weaker team.
Seedsman was playing
Easy.
was probably the only redeeming feature
Yeah,
of the game.
apart from Seedsman, there was just no reason to give a shit about that game. Collingwood won against St Kilda. Oh, and Reece Stanley's still shit. Do we need to say more on that?
Did they at least get the moral win?
Plugger's still banned.
No, I came back today.
He wasn't happy with you, Teach.
Fuck him.
Yes, St Kilda got the moral victory by 1. It was 17 to 18
Oh, there you go.
in
It's all right.
Collingwood's favour.
Order is maintained.
Bulldogs played Freo game that Eddie had?
Well, I was there. It was a bloody
Tell us about
frustrating
it, Ant.
game. Dominated the ruck, dominated the midfield, dominated the inside 50s. Couldn't kick a fucking goal. We need a key position forward, and we would have won.
That's the way.
That's
That's
it.
the way that it usually is against at Fremantle. Though they just, I watched a bit of that game, and it was a really ugly scramble, and that's how they win
Always
it.
is.
That's how they win it.
What was annoying me that the Bulldogs didn't learn from it, because Freo would push all their players up into our forward line, congest it, then play Pagan's paddock, and have Ballantyne run. And a little shit, gee, it was good. Another thing is fuck you,
Tell me
Crowley,
about
you
it. I
fucking
want to
monkey.
fucking stomp his fucking head.
Ballantyne was good. Crowley's just a piece of shit. He was just scragging Griffin all game, and the umpires didn't give him anything. So anyway, Dogs need a key forward if they're going to get anywhere, because that was just really frustrating that we pretty much dominated in every facet of the game other than kicking goals.
I noticed we mentioned the moral victory for St Kilda earlier. I saw that the free kick count in this game was 18-4, the Dogs' way. That must be a record-breaking moral victory for Freo.
But funny enough, though, it was purely because the Bulldogs had so much of the ball. Freo got all their goals basically on the back of just stupid mistakes by the Dogs and unforced errors and on the counter attack.
They're getting their structures right at the moment, Fremantle. Like, they're starting to make a move all the way. Ross Lyon might just take a team to another losing grand final the way it's going.
Well, the scary thing is
their midfield got touched up by the Dogs, so I don't know. I mean, they've still got a long way to go.
The Dogs are a better set side than most people realise. Like Essendon, we weren't in great form, but geez, they pushed us all over the place when we played them. So they're an okay team.
We should have beaten Essendon, though.
Yeah, but anyway.
Essendon aren't a great side themselves, so saying they pushed Essendon isn't like the difference to saying they pushed Sydney or Port.
No.
Or
here he is, the fucking Prince of Tides coming in again, telling us. I mean, the thing you've got to realise about Freo is that their fixture from now on in is pretty bloody easy for them.
They don't look like a top 4 side, though.
No, I agree.
Good for them, but yeah, we've probably talked too long about a team like Fremantle because there's only so much you can say about them without getting infuriated. And the last game was, it was in Alice Springs. It looked like a suburban ground. There was a tree basically overhanging it, and Port got the win over the D's.
We give Melbourne a lot of shit on here, but that was a game they should have won.
I don't know. I reckon it was a great game. It was actually really good to watch, but you've got to give credit to Port for getting over Melbourne when, Melbourne gave everything, and they're different now. Melbourne are no easy beats.
I don't know. Melbourne are a good team, but they knocked out their star player to keep them in. Schultz took out Wingard just to try and give Melbourne a sniff.
Oh, he did. Poor old Chad got the Sergeant Schultz to the head. They actually called an ambulance to check him out.
It was nasty when he got him. And then the weird thing was, so Schultz just walked past him afterwards. He looked down, looked at him, and kind of went, it's like Sergeant Schultz, I know nothing, and just kept going.
He looked down at him and said, I'm the best forward in this club, bitch.
Yeah, well, don't get in Sergeant Schultz away.
I'll tell you what was funny, though, with that game is that as far as Melbourne have come, they still lost on the back of a Lyndon Dunn fuck-up, kicking the torpedo out from the kick-out, and Pollock sent it back over his head.
I fucking hate Lyndon Dunn.
So do I, so it was hilarious.
He's got a shitty mustache and little dick luck. He's
just a niggling prick. He's a bit of a Crowley, but with even less ability.
That's saying a lot there, man.
One of the commentators said during the call that Paul Roos said, what gave you the right to do that? He was miming what Paul Roos was saying through the coach's box. That's what it looked like, what he said when Dunn tried his talk from fullback.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yes. One of the commentators said, who said that you had the right to do that as he did the talk. But, let's see if he drops him next week.
Melbourne can only hope.
And that's, all the games. So, we'll move on to a couple of things that happened during the week, which was, one, sometimes there's a right fit for a coach. Roos going to Melbourne was a very good appointment. Melbourne needed someone to set the culture, and sometimes you can just have a coaching appointment that's not a good fit. And, we have the first female coach in the AFL, which no one's complaining, but was St Kilda the right club to have the first female coach?
It just needed a woman's touch.
I don't understand, Fifey. Milnie's not there anymore.
Yes, but they still have the no fat chicks culture. Sam Gilbert's still there. There's a lot of history of women in St Kilda.
All jokes aside, it may actually be good for them. They might have to learn a bit because they are a bunch of pigs at that club. I mean, what was the other one that the guy got restrained? No,
Jason
the guy got the restraining order. I mean, the animal enclosure wasn't the supporters. It was
St Kilda.
It was So it may actually be a blessing blessing in disguise for these pigs. So
It's
there
got
you
a
go.
scandal written all over it, though. If the wrong thing happens, like, yeah.
Have you seen her though?
She's meant to be a bloody good coach.
She looks like you don't want to fucking mess with her.
No, yeah, it's true.
Well, she's
Like-
next.
I mean, like, set
Have
her
you
on
seen her
fire
football
and-
record?
She was
though?
at Port
she's
Melbourne
won,
under
like,
Ayres.
reading up on her earlier, she's won like 5 flags, coached women's team. So she knows actually how to actually play footy. So it's not like a token type appointment.
No, it's not. It's just a very weird club to be employed by, considering circumstances.
I hope she succeeds massively, and I hope she can make a massive contribution because there's not enough women in football.
There's only Jack Watts.
And Amanda Coleman.
What's her name, Fifey? Peter?
Yeah, just like the Animal Protection Agency that's after Suze.
I think it's a great move by the Saints. They have a long history of problems with women. So, they're trying to make a step in the right direction. And, soon they'll probably hire someone like Tyrion Lannister as well as their next one. And, they'll really try to make amends.
What is this coming back? Look, you're right. If you're an optimist, it probably is the right move to shift that culture because they do have it kind of skewed poorly there. But if you're a pessimist, you say, well, this has a disaster written all over it considering St Kilda's history with women.
So if you're a pessimist, you go, it's fucking St Kilda, man.
This could be their first moral win ever.
A real
A
moral.
real moral win.
A real.
Mm.
Ooh, don't know how I deal with that. Plugger would go nuts. He'd probably be angry.
Pretty much agree with what Hadouken and yourself said, Fife. But it can only be a good thing. But I'm going to be optimistic and say I hope it turns the corner on St Kilda. But it is St Kilda, so anything can happen. Bring on the off season.
Yeah, Mad Monday.
Yeah, they'll just find something else to fuck up. But hopefully that does turn a corner for treatment of women at that club.
What group can they still offend?
Animal rights people.
Yeah, well, there you go, Peter.
I don't think St Kilda or St Kilda fans have had a major racist incident, so I'd say that one's next.
That's too cliche for St Kilda. There has to be something weird, like burning a dwarf or...
St Kilda set the bar on scandals. They don't go for the mainstream one. They go pluck something like, but yeah, burning a dwarf, as Ant said.
Or naked pictures and holding condoms. And...
Yeah, they do shit no one else has ever done. Another thing on St Kilda is that Ahmed Saad he'll be allowed to play as of round 1. So
Good on
He
him.
served his time, and he had to pay for it himself. Unlike the Bombers wanting a handout from the AFL.
I don't think strategy is going to cost that much. Just quite.
Strategies agreed to work pro bono. We're okay.
Oh, yeah, but he's already suing Asada for perjury, though.
I think Ryan's is available though.
She's got her inside source up and running, yep.
She's like the reverse Caro.
Watch his boss.
Just you wait. We will sue the shit out of someone at some point. You wait and see. That's all I'll say on it. But someone's going to get it.
And then the anti-terror squad will come after you.
Once they finish at Birchall. Anyway, we'll move on to the Sydney. And, well, Goodsey got off. He crashed into Selwood.
Who's surprised? Who is surprised?
I'm surprised.
I saw it and I thought, 2 weeks, and I thought, I know it's goods, it's un-Australian, and it's racist to suppose
What
that he should
annoys
be
me
suspended.
is I think he should have got off, but I think every one of those type of hits they should get off. I just find it annoying that it's inconsistent.
Why
that
don't
someone
they
like,
get off? Why don't they get
Jack
off?
Zeebel's going, what the fuck's going on?
I mean,
Jack Zeeble, Steve
Liam Jones got 2
Johnson.
weeks the other week, and Gary Ablett gets off elbowing someone directly in the face. It just seems they've got one rule for the stars and one rule for the common player.
Can you imagine the press?
That was-
They said we're suspending the Australian of the Year in Indigenous round. It would be insane.
It was never going to happen. You're right.
Yeah, no one will ever say the AFL were brave in suspending him. Though it's a Sydney thing. Hanbury nearly breaks Hurley's neck and they just go, meh. And now everyone's allowed to bump anyone.
Although Hocking got off for his hit on Lennon, that was exactly the same.
But that's because Hanbury got let off 3 weeks ago. It's just a fucking sliding slope. And it's all Sydney. No tinfoil hat at all.
Anyway, I couldn't give a fuck because we're not going to win anything, so let him play.
Let him clean up Selwood. And amazingly, as someone pointed out, this was one of the rare occasions Selwood didn't duck.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And Good still got him high. So, look, he should, as Ant said, he shouldn't go for that. But considering some of the people who have, he should have. He was guilty. And Sidebottom got 4 weeks. And the only difference was that Maverick Weller got concussed.
Thought
Did
he
Goods
was never
leave the
gonna-
ground for his one? Did he jump in the air?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
That was what made it worse. If he had hit him front on, it probably wouldn't have been anything. No one would talk about it.
I do remember seeing just before, like they announced it, that they were talking and saying, "Oh, well, Goods has got a good record," and I thought, "What?"
Oh,
Because
he
the
has-
sliding
he doesn't have
charges
it.
got thrown out.
He has nothing near a good record. I
Yeah.
mean, he's not a dirty player. He doesn't hit people behind the play.
Sorry, he's a dirty.
Only
player.
Selwood
I
does
remember
that.
him hitting Hurd back in.
No, he is a bit of a Dustin Fletcher. His arms and legs go everywhere and take people out left, right, and
It's
centre.
that muscle memory.
He's a hard
Pressure
player.
points.
Not quite Chris Judd.
Yeah, he doesn't dig people's eyeballs out with his fingers.
No.
He's a hard player, and he will contest the footy like beyond the boundaries. And he's been suspended before, so it's exactly the same this time. But when I saw it, I thought they're not going to rub him out. Not this week. It's just political bullshit, and he's not going to get rubbed out.
But that being said, yeah, we've come up with top 5 people more innocent than goods this week. So number 5, Dan.
Hey Dad star Robert Hughes.
Mr. Kelly,
Mr. Kelly, stop touching me.
Mr. Goods.
Number 4, Penal.
Stephen Milne.
Number 3, Teach.
Hello, I am Oscar Pretorius, and I did not shoot my girlfriend in the head.
Number 2, Ant.
Chappelle Corby, and I've got
That's
nothing.
not my boogie board.
Oh, that wasn't the ganja I put in my boogie board. Bag, you bastards.
You sound like the cops in the Point Break movie. We'll get him when he comes back in.
And number 1, Hadouken.
We're going to be in a very good place, James Hurd and I. We're shocked to be sitting here.
Excellent. We'll move on to something else that was Sydney related, which was the Cola. It won't go away, and Peter Gordon slammed it, and Andrew Island slammed back, but instead of attacking the Bulldogs, he's gone for the easy target of Carlton.
But he did accuse Gordon of saying that Sydney cheated, and Gordon rightly did get back on 3AW, had a crack back, and had a crack at Mike Sheehan as well, because Mike Sheehan accused him of the same thing, because all he did say was Sydney manipulated the Cola to their advantage, which they did. And Andrew Island's gone, oh, you saying we're cheating? That's irresponsible. It's very Andrew Demetrio of him. Let's avoid the hard question and just label people cheats or liars. And then, yeah, the random shit of going after Carlton.
That was funny. Like, it's just like, Carlton didn't do anything.
To be fair, Carlton are cheats and liars. Like, we all know that.
Oh, dirty fucking cheat.
That's
Yeah,
coming
but
from an Essendon supporter.
It's a bit odd that Ireland singled out Carlton for salary cap cheating when Sydney, in fact, have their own history of actually breaching the salary cap completely unrelated to the COLA, which they've been punished for in the past.
3 times, yep.
I'm pretty sure that Carlton will be privately seething about that one.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know who the new president is now that Kernahan's gone, but he's just sitting back going, thinking, oh yeah, I'll stay out of this COLA debate. And it's like, Carlton the cheats. He's expected to make comment.
But yeah, Andrew Ireland, he really came across just childish. It's like,
It was like
calling me.
The COLA is Kurt Tippett's wage. That is how much extra they get. You know, that's a significant amount of money, and it's not like they're paying the extra 10% to the other players.
Where it should be going.
Yeah, when you factor it in, the extra money they've got is one Kurt Tippett. And is there any evidence that they're paying overs to their players? Or are they saying you sign for $250,000, and when the 9.8% kicks in, it'll be closer to $275?
I like the feeble excuse they're using of every player has it written into their contract. So does that mean the guy on the minimum wage, Sydney are only paying him the bare minimum AFL wage, whatever it is, and instead of paying him an extra whatever 9.8% on top of the bare minimum wage, they pay him the bare minimum wage and factor in the 9.8% into the. That's just bullshit.
Correct. He's the guy who needs the COLA, and he's not the guy getting the most benefits of the COLA, and that's where it's completely unbalanced.
Yeah, I did enjoy the sooking from the Sydney supporters, the outrage of them. How do you know this is true? We're using it fairly. Sydney is a very expensive place to live.
Even though it's not as expensive as Perth these days. No. Just back to Andrew Ireland, his response was very sort of Bay 13, like just pointing the finger immediately at Carlton in order to deflect. Makes me wonder if he's a Bay 13 poster, maybe Paul Roos.
Well, there is a brand new thread sitting on Bay 13 right now that's accusing Luke Darcy of being a Bay 13 poster because he used a Bay 13 joke on Talking Footy tonight.
Say that again.
Did he really?
This Hodgepodge has picked it up. This is just in.
Yeah, campaign to find out which of you is Luke Darcy.
Fucking hodgepodge.
Yeah.
I thought we fucking agreed no hodgepodge mentions, and then we
the only reason he's getting mentioned by default because it's more about the thread than him himself. But apparently Das has reused a picture from Bay 13, so there we go. We got Das online.
Oh, well, actually, funnily enough, I noticed Robbo on 360 have a laugh last week when Heath Scotland retired. He laughed about Fireman reference. And I just thought, oh, okay.
I would have thought most of them are on the Bay at some point or another, just because occasionally you get little weird bits of info.
Well, like Hodgepodge selling the Coleman, the Blanc Fev made it to SEN and the Ox.
Well, we all know about anyway.
We all know about romping wins.
Yes.
Most of the media are on Big Footy because they get a lot of info off it. I caught Rashushi on the Dogs board once before. Yeah.
And let's not forget Ugak's video.
Yeah. Anyway, is that everything on the Colders?
Yeah.
I think so. You made me feel a lot better, guys. Thanks. That they've been cheating, and so we didn't deserve to get.
You still lost by
Belted by
110 points.
110. That's not a 9.8%.
That's more than their cap at 109.8%.
Oh, well, get fucked in.
We'll move on to Flog of the Week. And Paul Roos, he made a comeback, not on the Bay because he's banned from the Bay, but he had a crack on the Suggestions board, Sulking, and the Swans board. Jaden's put his hand up as well.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
that would be my pick.
Vulcan and his bullshit.
Hayden melted hard in the 2011 Flog of the
Which
Year,
he won. He came back and
Yeah.
melted it again.
which was nicely bumped by Bayer, and he continued to melt in the Bryans v Carlton game day thread on the main board.
He's been melted.
You also,
And we got a couple of
also-
his family members come back too, which was nice.
Yeah, it's always good to see Jaden's family members come back.
you saw how much Paul Roos melted on the Swans,
Board, yes.
and everyone backing him up, going, "Oh, you poor thing! Don't let them get to you." What a bunch of fucking sooks!
And one of them also said, he's the real Teach as well.
Yes, and kudos to, in that melt thread, DB Swanee for putting in a good effort and telling all the offended Swans posters to pull their head in.
Because that was laughable. It was all, the Bay 13, they're so awful to you. None of them actually went and bothered to read that he was scared that Jared Rufford was going to come and get him, was the reason he lost his shit. Let's move on. Did we have a thread of the week? I thought Pistons Malthouse question thread, the sequel to the Ask the Weapon a Question, was pretty good.
I didn't mind the bad fan signs and banners at the football was a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I'm going to give a genuine mention to Hodgepodge with the Easter egg. Michael Hurley at it again. That made me laugh.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Hey, West Coast was pretty good just because everyone loves a good meltdown.
Oh, what the hell was that about?
I don't know, but
That's plugger like. You don't melt after a win.
all right, who are we going to go for?
Overall, I like the Banners one.
Banners?
yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with the bonus one.
All right.
You've all seen this, and I'm watching it right now on TV, the Borat movie, and the naked fight between him and his fat manager.
That would just fit in perfectly with everything you've been saying so far.
Is there goo and tears?
Yeah, just all that shit.
You have been speaking a lot of random shit tonight, Teach.
Yeah, and last week's poll before we move on to next week was who would you draft at number 1 from the 2008 draft? Only 23% said Nick Naitanui, 40%, which was the most, said Jack Watts, but a baffling, and this one was full of goo and maybe some tears, 37% said Clanger Makers, which
Are they all Hawthorn supporters?
I counted, I think 8 were.
Suck shit
then-
though, West
so
Coast
it
fans.
wasn't 48%.
No, it was more than 48%, yeah, but there were a lot of
Wow.
Hawthorn supporters chugging the Clangers goo.
It's official because that poll was official. It's official. Showmakers is better than Naitanui. End
Oh.
of debate.
But worse than Watts, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's important to know.
Anyway, we'll move on, to next week. Honestly, there's some pretty lackluster games here. I think they're pretty easy to tip, personally, but we'll start with Geelong against Carlton. Does anyone think the Cats will bounce back? They probably should.
Carlton are going to get milned.
Yep, I'm on that too. They will lose this by 8 goals plus.
100 plus, I reckon. I can see Geelong wanting to turn it around.
110 points?
110.
Maybe even more. But 110 minimum.
Come on, everyone say their thing before Teach goes.
Pussycats.
So you're all done?
Yep.
No, Geelong will win.
Okay, Penal hadn't gone. All right, Teach, you can go.
I think I'm going to go Geelong.
I've got to. Oh, fuck you, Ant. You nearly you're trying to keep me. Yeah. Oh, I've got the twitchy bumhole about this because I think that we've fallen off the dark end of the cliff.
If you lose this, well, you will miss the 8. The Petrie thing is spot on the money, and Penal has every reason to be decent.
The dark prediction is true. However, no, we'll kick Carlton in the head as we have. Mick Shithouse, he hasn't beaten us for so long, so yeah, we'll win this one. Not by a lot though.
Okay. Next game is at Aurora Stadium. Hawthorn, another one of their home games in Tassie. It's against West Coast. They barely beat GWS.
Welcome
But
home.
West Coast
people.
is shit. Yeah, home game.
Do they
I'm
get
gonna
any
go
of their
Tassie.
injured stars back? Like, how many of their injured players? There's like 27 of them, aren't there? That are injured at the moment.
Well, if you believe the Hawks, this
Yeah.
is literally their second.
Well, it's Box Hill reserves, pretty much the way.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's Box Hill seconds. I think they've got 105 injured players.
Mm.
Come on, you're just being fucking ridiculous.
Look, Penal, don't be
Yeah.
upset. They're very brave.
Yeah,
We're very
brave.
happy that they're
Very
brave.
brave.
So
Yeah.
It's more brave than sticking fucking needles in your arms.
Actually, I've got a mate,
Hawks
and
will
his
win, I
son,
reckon,
who's
still.
14, has got a gig in Hawthorn's first this week. So, tell you what, so brave Hawthorn.
So yeah, moral number 2 draft pick from 2008, Ryan Schoenmakers to dominate, and Hawks to win
fuck.
easily.
Playing on Jack Darling, yes, I'm sure he'll dominate that matchup the way Darling's playing at the moment.
He needs to
yeah,
fuck
Hawks
off
for
that
me.
ponytail. He looks like a fag.
Anyway, can we get some tips?
Hawks.
Oh, yeah, Hawthorn.
Hawthorn.
Hawks, mate.
Port versus St Kilda at the Adelaide Oval. Well, I think is everyone on Port for this one? Just I get the impression everyone is.
Yes.
It's a question of how much.
Massacre. Absolute massacre.
Looking at this, there could be some big scores this weekend.
Even without Wingard playing, Port will win that.
Yeah.
Bulldogs against the Bryans. This one's probably going to be one of the closer games of the week because the Bulldogs can't get over the line, but Brisbane showed a bit last week.
I'm going to disagree.
Is this-
If it's at home for us, so we've been playing well and not finishing against good teams, so we need to really win this one and win this well.
You'll ski all over them.
We'll ski all over them, mate. We got Liam
Yeah,
Jones back
Bulldogs.
this week from suspension, so we'll actually have a forward over 190.
Yeah, I'm on the Bulldogs, but I think Brisbane aren't without a chance after last week.
It's a
Nah,
dan-
Bulldogs easy.
Bulldogs easy.
It's a
Bulldogs
danger
easy,
game. Danger game. But I'll go Dogs. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's pretty close.
GWS are back at the Spotless Stadium after their effort last week. They're up against Essendon. Well, Essendon just beat Richmond by 50 points, and Richmond just won there by 110. So make of that what you will.
I don't really make much of it at all, but I still think Essendon going to win. They're going to beat up on a lesser side because GWS have lost the plot.
Did you
well-
sleep through all of yesterday's game? I don't think they've completely lost the plot. Whatever they lost it, but then they found it again.
But they're only playing Box Hill. What do you mean?
It was only a VFL team.
Yeah.
Like seconds or
I
something.
mean, they're not playing Essendon next year. They're playing them this year.
Infractions, we've already missed the infraction or the show cause deadline. So apparently that's going to be at least another. I think they're saying the next deadline is July. There's been about 12 of them so far. But so we should be right to win this one. I will be comfortable tipping that.
Yeah. Are we all on Essendon for this?
I think GWS will win, having watched them yesterday.
They have to back it up, though. And Cameron won't be playing.
Yeah, he did fuck all though yesterday, and they still nearly won. So that's not a. I'm going to commit to GWS.
Good on you for
Okay, then.
committing. Bombers all the way.
Gold Coast versus the Swans at Metricon. The Suns don't lose often at Metricon, but the Swans are playing well.
Oh, Swans are going to rip them to shreds.
I agree with Teach.
Yeah,
Swannies.
Swans.
I think the Swans are due for a loss, and I'm going to go the Suns after last week. They might bounce back.
I
I'm
reckon
gonna
the
tip Gold
Swans,
Coast as well.
the Gold Coast are hitting their bad spot, and they're going to lose some games in a row now. They will get hammered by Sydney.
I think Gold Coast will win.
That's a 3-3 split.
Fuck, I wish I was in a tipping competition with you guys because you got no fucking idea.
That's because we tip on a Monday and we stand by our tips.
Hang on, no, Teach. Last time I was on, I got 6 out of 6.
Oh yeah, I said no, except for you, Ant. I'm not having you in my tipping comp.
Dan's currently winning the Bay 13 one, I think, isn't he? On Big Footy.
Are you really?
I am. I like the V Bulletin days when you can actually change your tip during the game. You could actually change your tip during the game.
Probably what Alter Rob was doing last year somehow.
That was because Jim Boy hadn't locked off the thing because he'd forget or something like that.
Freo versus Adelaide at Patterson's.
This is going to be a hard one because, Adelaide are hit and miss, and Fremantle didn't really show that much against the Bulldogs. So if Adelaide bring their game this week and play like they did last week, they'll win. But if they turn up as, the Jekyll and Hyde team, they turn up and play shit, then Fremantle will win. So I don't know. I'm going to tip Crows.
I think with the Soccer World Cup starting this week, Freo are going to get right into the spirit of that and park the bus in defence and play for a very, very low-scoring draw.
Fremantle, easy.
Yeah, got to go with the home team here.
Yes, over there, I think Fremantle will win easily, so 3-1. In the spirit of the World Cup.
Fremantle. You took my joke. I was going to do that as well. It's your game next, Fifey.
Oh, fucking
What?
Jesus
What?
Christ.
Lifey,
Yeah.
you there?
You can hear the fear already.
I want to say it. Richmond.
He
versus-
just froze, didn't he? He's like, oh, I'm going to talk about Richmond.
Richmond versus the reigning premiers, or soon to be reigning.
The anointed premiers in press red for Kev. So I think there'll be a lot of people watching that by the second half with Mel Brown on with him as well. So what's the odds we're going to put like cunts dropped or something? They could be forking out some money, Fox Footy, with Mel Brown on commentary. But yeah, I don't think we're going to win.
You can go and get fucked and you can't get fucked. man. Yeah.
So Mel Brown's teach.
No, I'm not as old and I'm not as fat. Like, fuck.
Anyway, everyone thinks North.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
only
easily.
one team has come back from Perth
Oh,
the
hang
next
on.
week and won.
Wait a minute. It's at Etihad. What's the weather like?
Well, the roof will be closed.
Oh, well.
It wasn't on Sunday, and Ross Lyon was whinging about it, wasn't he?
No, it was closed during the game. He was whinging that it was left open in the morning, so it was a bit of rain in the morning, and it got closed about 10 in the morning, so it was enough for a bit of dampness on the field.
Did he have one of those whinges? It's not really a whinge where he goes, oh, he's kind of got that voice, and he tries to make it sound like he's not whinging, but he really is.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, the game was on at 3 o'clock, and the roof was closed at 10, so there was a bit of rain the night before. That's what he was complaining about.
Did the
I
sprinklers
mean, even
go
Brad
as
Scott
well?
wouldn't worry about that.
Anything else on that?
North to win by 80 and Hardwick to be gone by the end of the game.
Wouldn't complain about that.
Premiership
Pay him out
favourites
for 2
to
years
go.
there.
The Premiership favourites to go Bazinga and
And
just
yeah,
smash the Tigers.
And Kev I love listening to Kev commentate Richmond games because you can literally pick the point which Hope dies with him. It's usually about halfway through the second, and he'll just be like, and that's it. He just he mumbles for the rest of the game.
Little
It's awesome.
heartbreaks, does it?
Yeah.
It's like that Simpsons episode where Ralph, he goes, you can just see the moment that his heart breaks in half. Chick, 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 with the remote.
Yeah.
I look forward to someone using that joke next week on one of the major media outlets. On Monday, Melbourne versus Collingwood, Queen's birthday
You
game.
didn't even ask for my tip.
We know where you're going, Dan. You're on my
Yeah, I thought everyone was on North.
Everyone knew you were going to tip Richmond
Well,
because
as
of
I said
the
earlier,
coming
only
back
one
from
team
Perth
has
thing.
won coming back from Perth the following week.
And now it's going to be 2?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Dan,
All
if
right.
North lose, will you blame it on the stadium in Perth?
No,
Good stadium.
no, I'm not inclined that way. No, I'm not
Blame
like that.
it on the rain.
I'll blame it on the rain or the roof.
Oh, Milli Vanilli.
Anyway, let's move on. Yeah, Queen's
Good one,
birthday is
Ed.
on the Monday. And yeah, look, Melbourne supporters might show up. We've had a pretty warm May, so the snow hasn't started yet.
This is probably going to be the most interesting game of the round, actually.
No, Collingwood put them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Side bottoms out. Swan may not play. I'm going the boil over. I reckon Melbourne's going to do it.
Seedsman will drag Collingwood over the line if he has to do it on his own.
You got to remember, Melbourne have got Watts, and he's the anti-Seedsman. The two of them combine. If they actually tackle each other, the world could be destroyed.
No, Watts will end up pregnant. That's what'll happen.
Watts is rated even better than Schoenmakers. That shows you how good Watts
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Oh, for
Oh.
fuck's sake. You and your fucking Schoenmakers. Shut the
Can we
fuck
Take
up.
your goo elsewhere.
Can we ban
Yeah.
Penal from uttering the word show and makers?
Mix it with fucking tears.
Every
and
time he
chicken
mentions
feet.
it, we'll just bring up goo and tears, I think. That'll shut him
Yeah.
up pretty quick.
So that's what gin and tonic tastes like.
I'm a bit
I'll never
worried.
order a G&T
I'm a bit
again.
worried because it sounds like you know what it tastes like.
What tastes like?
Gin and
Gin
tonic.
He's projecting again, don't worry. Any Melbourne Collingwood tips, so
Collingwood, same with Hugh Pyth. I reckon they're going to do it.
In keeping with my theme of tipping fucked up results this week, I'll go Melbourne.
Given the fact that Melbourne came back from Alice Springs, it wasn't that hot, so I'm gonna go boil over Melbourne.
all right. I think that's everything, isn't it?
No, you didn't ask for my tip again.
Yeah, I did that on purpose.
Fucking hell.
Dan.
No, I'm not going to tip, bugger you.
So go in the draw.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not,
Dan's
I'm not,
ticking the draw by
I'm not
default.
tipping. Okay, fine. I'll tip the draw.
Yeah, so that's everything. So this was the Flogcast for round 12. Fifey joined by Dan,
See ya.
Penal,
See ya.
Teach,
Off with you, then.
Ant,
See ya.
and joining us for the first time, he said he was shocked to be sitting here, Hadouken.
Thanks, guys, and good night.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next week.
Suze, I am your father.
Dank Vader.